In a small village called Eldenwood, there lived a young girl named Lila. She was known for her wild imagination and adventurous spirit. Lila loved exploring the fields, forests, and rivers around her home. Every day after school, she would run outside with her backpack, filled with snacks and a notebook where she wrote down her thoughts and sketches of the things she found. One sunny afternoon, while wandering deeper into the woods than she had ever gone before, Lila stumbled upon a hidden path. The path was narrow and covered with vines and flowers, leading to a part of the forest that felt untouched. Excited, Lila decided to follow the path. As she walked, she noticed how different everything was. The trees were taller, and the birds sang sweeter songs. It felt like she had entered a magical world. After walking for a while, Lila reached a clearing. In the center was a beautiful lake, its water sparkling under the sun. She had never seen anything like it. The lake was surrounded by colorful flowers and tall grass that swayed gently in the breeze. Lila felt a rush of happiness. This was her virgin territory, a place no one else seemed to know about. Lila sat by the lake, took out her notebook, and began to draw. She sketched the flowers, the trees, and the water. Then, she wrote about her feelings, how she felt free and alive in this untouched place. Hours passed, and the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Lila knew she had to return home, but she promised herself she would come back to this special spot. The next day, Lila returned to the lake. She brought a picnic basket filled with sandwiches, fruits, and juice. She spread a blanket on the grass and enjoyed her meal while listening to the sounds of nature. As she ate, she noticed something moving in the water. Curious, she leaned closer and saw a family of ducks swimming. There were a mother duck and her 5 little ducklings, quacking happily. Lila laughed and clapped her hands, which startled the ducks. They quacked loudly and paddled away, leaving small ripples on the lake's surface. She felt a little bad for scaring them but was also delighted to see them. Lila decided to visit the lake every day after school. It became her secret place, a sanctuary where she could escape from the busy world. As days turned into weeks, Lila learned more about her virgin territory. She discovered a small waterfall hidden behind some rocks. The sound of the rushing water was soothing, and she loved sitting there, letting the mist cool her face. She also found a big old tree with a thick trunk, perfect for climbing. From the top of the tree, she could see the entire lake and the surrounding forest. It became her favorite spot to think and dream. One day, while sitting in her tree, Lila saw a boy walking along the path she had discovered. He looked about her age, with messy brown hair and bright blue eyes. Lila felt nervous but curious. She had never seen anyone else in her secret place before. The boy stopped and looked around, seemingly amazed by the beauty of the lake. "Hello," Lila called out, her voice echoing through the trees. The boy turned, surprised to see her. "Hi, I'm Jake. I didn't know anyone else came here." Lila climbed down from the tree and introduced herself. They talked and laughed, sharing stories about their lives. Jake lived in a nearby town and often explored the woods. He had stumbled upon the hidden path while looking for adventure. Lila felt a connection with him, as they both loved nature and exploring. From that day on, Lila and Jake became the best of friends. They spent their afternoons at the lake, playing games, swimming, and building forts with sticks and leaves. They shared their dreams and fears, creating a bond that felt unbreakable. Lila showed Jake all her favorite spots, and together they discovered even more hidden treasures in the forest. One afternoon, while they were sitting by the lake, Lila shared her dream of becoming an artist. She wanted to paint the beauty of nature and inspire others to appreciate the world around them. Jake listened intently, then shared his dream of becoming a writer. He wanted to tell stories that would take people on adventures, just like the ones they were having. As the summer days passed, Lila and Jake found themselves spending more and more time together. One day, they decided to explore the other side of the lake, something they had never done before. They packed a backpack with snacks and set off on their adventure. Walking around the lake, they discovered a narrow path leading into the woods. They followed it, excited to see where it would take them. The trees grew thicker, and the sounds of the forest surrounded them. After a short hike, they reached another clearing, and what they saw took their breath away. In front of them stood a massive ancient tree, its trunk wider than a car. Its branches stretched high into the sky, and its leaves created a beautiful canopy overhead. Lila and Jake stood in awe, feeling the magic of the tree. They decided to name it the Guardian Tree, because it felt like it was watching over them. They spent the day exploring around the guardian tree, climbing its sturdy branches, and imagining all the stories it could tell. As the sun began to set, they sat under its shade, feeling grateful for their friendship and the adventures they had shared. But as summer turned to fall, Lila noticed something changing. Jake had to go back to school in his town, and they couldn't see each other as often. They promised to meet at the lake every weekend, but Lila felt sad. The thought of not sharing her virgin territory with her best friend made her heart heavy. The first weekend after school started, Lila went to the lake, hoping Jake would be there. She waited for hours, but he didn't come. Disappointed, she sat by the water, watching the ducks swim and listening to the sounds of the forest. She wished she could share her thoughts and dreams with Jake, but he was busy with school. As the weeks passed, their meetings became less frequent. Lila started feeling lonely in her virgin territory. She missed the laughter they shared and the adventures they had. One day, while sitting under the guardian tree, she decided to draw a picture of Jake and her together, smiling and happy. She wanted to remember the good times they had. One chilly afternoon, Lila noticed that the leaves on the trees were changing colors. It was a sign that winter was coming. She decided to write Jake a letter, telling him how much she missed him and how important their friendship was to her. She placed the letter in a small bottle and hid it in a hole at the base of the guardian tree, hoping he would find it one day. As the first snow fell, Lila visited the lake one last time before winter. The landscape was transformed into a winter wonderland, with snow covering the ground and the trees. She felt a mix of sadness and joy. Sadness because she missed Jake, and joy because she had found a beautiful place that would always be hers. The winter months were long, and Lila spent her time drawing and writing in her notebook. She created stories about their adventures, imagining Jake by her side. She dreamed of the day when spring would come, and she could return to her virgin territory, hoping to reunite with her best friend. Finally, spring arrived, and Lila rushed to the lake. The flowers were blooming, and the trees were filled with new leaves. She ran to the guardian tree, feeling excited to see if her letter was still there. To her surprise, she found a small note tucked into the bottle beside her letter. It was from Jake. He had found her letter and wrote back, explaining how much he missed her too. He told her he had been busy with school but promised to visit as often as he could. Lila's heart soared with joy. She felt a spark of hope that their friendship would continue to grow, just like the flowers around her. That weekend, Jake finally came to the lake. They ran to each other, laughing and smiling, feeling like no time had passed. They spent the entire day exploring, sharing stories, and making new memories. Lila felt complete again, knowing her virgin territory was still a place of friendship and adventure. As the seasons changed, Lila and Jake's bond only grew stronger. They continued to explore the woods together, discovering new places and creating stories that would last a lifetime. The lake became a symbol of their friendship, a place where they could always return, no matter what life brought their way. Years passed, and Lila became a talented artist, painting the beauty of nature. Jake became a wonderful storyteller, sharing their adventures with the world. They often returned to their virgin territory, the lake, and the guardian tree, remembering the magic that brought them together. In Eldenwood, the hidden path remained a secret, known only to Lila and Jake. It was a place where dreams were born, friendships were forged, and the beauty of nature was cherished. Their virgin territory became a reminder that no matter how far life took them, the bond they shared would always lead them back to each other. And so, the adventures in Eldenwood continued, forever cherished in their hearts.